Okay. Let's see. Wow, it's really bright. Can I turn these down? These are so bright. Okay, that is a little better. All right. Well, welcome, everybody, back to Jack's World Wild Live stream. Oh, wow. So today we are going to be talking about conservation and how we collectively, but more importantly, you as your individual selves, can make a difference in the scope of the longevity of species on the planet and our planet in general. So, I'm going to be touching on a few easy things that you can start doing. I mean, at the beginning of next year, as it starts to warm back up in the States, we're going to be able to really push and do a lot of this type of thing. So I'm really excited to get into it. We have a few questions that have already come right out of the gate that I'll answer right now. On YouTube first, how did your black widow bites heal up? Fine. I was bitten, I think, on this arm, and there's no scarring. There's nothing. It was still really achy. I didn't feel very well for, I would say, maybe a week and a half after that bite. But it wasn't still like excruciating pain. It was mostly gone. It was just, I felt like I kind of had just like a fever, and it was just achy in my arm, and that really stunk. But it healed up really well. What was my most painful bite or sting? The black widow. That hurt very, very much for a very long time, and I would much prefer not to do that ever again. Okay, so we're slow coming on YouTube. If you're on here, hop on over to YouTube, because I'm probably going to shut off the Instagram live here in the next few minutes, and you don't want to miss any of what we are going to talk about. I've always thought that a black widow could kill a human for real. Honestly, if you're a healthy adult human being, black widow's not going to kill you. I haven't heard of any for sure case of a black widow envenomation from any North American species to have actually killed a human being. People are like, oh, well, you're right, but it wasn't since 1984. That has to have been a medical complication. I do not see that a black widow could actually kill an adult human being. Let's see. I've got one more question on. I've got a few more questions on the live. Do you have any isopods? I've got just dwarf white isopods in my vivariums, but those are the only species I keep right now. I used to have a bunch of Porcellio and Armadillidium and all these different species of isopods, but I had this fungus that came in and crashed all my isopod cultures, and I was like, forget it. I'm not doing this anymore. Do you think Coyote would be able to tolerate that black widow bite? I'm sure he'd be able to tolerate it. Now, would he chalk it up? He would probably be a little bit more dramatic. And then one more question, and then we're going to dive into the theme of today's live stream. Let's see. Quick question. Do you have any pointers for smaller wildlife content creators who want to have charisma like yours? Well, thank you. I'm glad that people are picking up on my charisma. I would just say be authentic. Find what kind of channel you want to create for yourself, and what's more productive with your personality. I'm not going to say that everybody has to be like me or some of these real charismatic, crazy, over the top YouTubers that you see doing well. I think that there's a beauty in creatorship, that if you are yourself and you are working to produce high quality content, and that's what makes you excited, and it's your thing, I encourage the individualism to kind of come through. I wouldn't necessarily say Drink a few Red Bull and then go off the walls. I would say why am I blurry? There we go. I would say top priority is just get comfortable with the types of videos you want to create. My best videos that I've made have been when I'm just having fun, I'm comfortable, it's kind of just coming second nature to me, and I'm not having to think super hard or really try to make the episode good. That's when those episodes turn out not so good. When I'm really like in my head about it, those episodes I end up going back and going, oh, man, I really was doing that bad when I was worried about how bad I was doing. But when I'm just like having fun and I'm just excited and I just get caught up in the moment, that's what people like to see. And I think a lot of what content creators forget to focus on is that there's always going to be people producing the same type of content, right? But what's different is the person presenting it, right? Everything I do is going to be different from, my buddy David. Everything I do is going to be different from my buddy Chris or Chandler or Daniel. And these are all great guys, and they're all doing similar stuff to what I'm doing with specifically reptiles, snakes, animals, education, conservation, etc. But what makes us all successful in our own right is that it's coming from our perspective. You get to see what we're seeing through our eyes and how we are having fun with the creation of our own content. And I think that is important. I would say more than anything, resonate with your message the most, and just have fun with it. Get relaxed with it. Practice, but really just have fun with it, because if you're having fun, people are having fun, and it doesn't necessarily matter if you have a ton of charisma or if you're more reserved in your personality or whatever, because if you're having fun and you're enjoying the video, chances are when people find it, they're going to have fun and enjoy the videos too. That's a great question. Which wasp do I like more, Polistes carnifex or Polistes major? Well, seeing as they were once all classified as the same thing, it's kind of hard to choose between because they're relatively the same. I guess Polistes carnifex. We have Polistes major in the States, so I like something a little more exotic. Oh my gosh, fruit flies again flying through my room. What football teams do I support? I don't know. I don't really watch a lot of football. I'm an animal guy, so usually in Thanksgiving when my family's all inside, watching the football game, over the years, I'm outside chomping through the leaves, looking for shrews and snakes and box turtles and stuff. So I couldn't tell you. I mean, I'm from Texas. I'm supposed to say Cowboys, but from what I've seen, I don't know if they're very good. So I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. Put me on the spot there. Okay, so a few more questions. I'm gonna be answering questions until, let's say, 6:15. If you guys are on the live stream, hop on over. David, shut up. Hop on over to the YouTube live so that you can ask questions, because I will be shutting this off in 3 minutes on the Instagram live. Okay, so back to my YouTube people. Amazing response. Truly felt like some good old advice. Glad I could help. That's as best as I can get it for you. Don't try and copy anybody else. Don't try and imitate what you see other people doing, because you never know. You could be robbing people of how you would produce it and how you would create your own content. I know I struggle with, seeing all these great wildlife educators and people, seemingly, performing better on YouTube, or my childhood heroes, what their shows were like, and what I think I'm trying to create. And at the end of the day, I don't want to just be another, copycat, another Jeff Corwin, another Steve Irwin. I want to be myself. And so I have to bring myself into this. And really, at the end of the day, that's what people are coming in for, right? They're coming to watch Jack's World of Wildlife. That's part of the reason why I called it that, is because I want you guys to resonate not only with wildlife in this planet, but with me, and have fun and learn alongside of me in the process. So I think being authentic, being genuine, being true to yourself and what you want, that's the key. How often do I step out of my comfort zone when filming? Great question. Not really often. A lot of the time, there's kind of these little camera tricks that we'll have where it looks like I'm a lot closer to a snake, or I didn't expect a snake to do a certain thing or an animal to do a certain thing, but I'm almost completely in control at all times. If the camera's rolling, I'm usually aware of everything that's going on. So I don't really step out of my comfort zone all that much when filming. I would say not often. But that's a great question. I tend to seek comfort in this type of thing because I don't want to, get to the point where I am, strung out or something is happening that I'm not comfortable with happening. Or if we're in a dangerous situation, I like to, even though a lot of our stuff is like on the spot happening, just bam, bam, bam in quick succession, I always try and make sure that I myself am being safe. My camera people are being safe. Everybody on my team is safe and doing well and not in danger. Um, okay, so everybody on the Instagram Live, I appreciate you tuning in. Please go over to YouTube, and I will get to the actual theme of the live in YouTube in the next few minutes. So hop on over to YouTube, and I will see you there. Oh my gosh, this freaking live. No, I don't forget it. I don't want to keep it. Okay. Now my YouTube people. We'll do a few more minutes of asking questions, and then I want to get right into the meat of what we're talking about. How would you feel if you had an executioner wasp as a pet? Wasps are super cool. I really like keeping social insects. I guess I would feel fine. I'd be like, oh, cool. I have some wasps. They eat sugars. If they've got larvae, they need protein. But you can keep wasps relatively easily in captivity. They're not that difficult. Even feeding them and getting into the cage and cleaning, it's really not that hard. But great question. 5 minutes past midnight here in the UK. Whew, late night then. I know that the Japanese giant hornet is my favorite, but have you considered taking a sting from the bald-faced hornet? Sure. I'm really comfortable with taking stings from any species of hornet or wasp or ant. If I find it, I'll sting myself with it. I'm never gonna like find a wasp or hornet and be like, I'm not gonna do that. I've done so many. It's really not that big of a deal. I'm fine with doing those. Yeah. Do you ever try and get some permits to film rare animals? Typically, permitting isn't needed. I can't. So essentially, what it's like is I either don't need the permits or I cannot get the permits. So things like diving, free diving with like great white sharks, you have to be like on a research vessel and be like tagging them and stuff like that. And I, as just a community, as just a citizen scientist, I don't have access to any of that type of stuff. Now, maybe in the future, funds permitting, we could start donating to conservation efforts on a larger scale and be able to accompany said ventures that we are also helping fund, and then we could get in kind of that way. Other than that, I don't really need any permits to film anything. There are certain restrictions for some things. I can't get too close to whales on a boat. I can't trespass onto property to film, maybe a species that's restricted to a small location. So there's things like that that limit me. But for all intents and purposes, I don't really need any permits to film the stuff that I run into. Well, that's a good question. Yeah, carpenter bees do sting pretty heavily. Yellow jackets are pretty bad. I got stung on the face with a yellow jacket back in high school, and I remember that my face was swollen pretty bad for a while. Um, so what do you think you would have to do if you wanted to film, say, an indigo? Okay, so you mean like protected animals in the States? It totally depends. Again, it's case to case by case basis. But in Texas, actually, indigos are no longer going to be under that blanket of protection, essentially, because their population is doing so well. It's not going to be illegal anymore to actually handle them. I think same with the horned lizards and things of that nature. especially if you're on private property. There's really no way that they enforce that type of stuff. If you catch it, you handle it in a non-stressful and kind of intrusive way and release it, they usually don't have any issue with that. If you're not like taking it and transporting it somewhere else or catching it and keeping it, that's really what all those laws are in place to prevent. Just filming with an animal for 10-15 minutes and then letting it go, you can usually kind of get out of jail free card with that. How can you be so comfortable speaking to so many people like on a live stream? Well, right now I've only got, it tells me 10 people are watching currently. So that's not quite too many. I've done a lot of public speaking over the years. So that's a lot of my kind of speaking background. I'm comfortable with articulating what I'm trying to say and sounding somewhat coherent and intelligent while I'm saying that. So it just kind of feels like, no, I don't feel like I'm up on a stage talking in front of a whole, stadium of people. And even then, I could probably be fine. I'm comfortable speaking in front of people. I'm comfortable teaching people. So it's really easy for me to just stare into a little, circular camera at the top of my computer and act like I'm, talking to thousands of people. But I really don't get stage fright in that kind of capacity when I'm talking to people. All right, so we're going to shift gears here, and we are going to be talking about what we can do as individuals for conservation. Now, a lot of people kind of get this idea in their head that, maybe they don't feel like they're qualified enough to be a conservationist. Maybe they feel that kind of title is awarded to someone who's gone to school and perhaps has a doctorate in this field of animal conservation and habitat protection and things like that. But that's kind of a lie, because at the end of the day, every single one of us is a conservationist or has the capacity to be. And what I mean by that is, all over the world, there are protected habitats and species and a lot of stuff that we resonate with. But oftentimes we forget about what is at home. Our homes are some of the most important ecosystems on the planet. The problem with rapid urbanization of areas is the loss of original forests. So birds are displaced, insects are displaced, other mammals, moles, badgers, mink, ferrets, weasels, skunks, raccoons, possums, all these animals are encroaching into these taken plots of land that are now, set aside for people to live on. And it becomes incredibly critical for us to do our part to help sustain what we have displaced. And so in this live stream, I'm going to be talking about a few little tricks and tips and things like that we can use to help our natural community. Now, sadly, across the United States, we are addicted to propagating a useless, inedible, dumb plant known as grass. Not prairie grass, not native beautiful species of grass. No, we're talking St. Augustine, Bermuda, etc., etc. It has no ecological value, no ecological impact other than fertilizer running off into water streams and taking up valuable real estate that we could use for literally anything else. But that put aside, that is like one of the largest crops that we cultivate in the United States and in a lot of the Western world. And you're thinking, well, what does that even mean? What do you mean? Like, I can't have a lawn? Is that what you're telling me? Well, it displaces a lot of native wildlife. Monocultured lawns, meaning one species, are some of the hardest things for our environment to adapt to, because there's no services that can be provided to either ourselves or the animals around us. So one really easy way to offset this is creating a pollinator garden. Now, pollinator garden, pretty simple. You are going to take flowering plants, preferably native flowering plants, and load up your flower bed. Your flower bed, you can put them outside in the backyard. You can put them in the front yard. Doesn't matter. Around your mailbox. I don't care. Flowers. Because what's happening is when we take, not only we clear the native land, which had some of these flowers and things from before, but we replace the plants on that native land with just grass and, maybe a few shrubs. And, we get, maybe a lawn care service to come, once a week or bi-monthly and trim it up and make it all look nice and happy. And it does nothing for the environment. We need to create an area for our native pollinators to have a stronghold. Okay. This is critically important. Without our pollinators, we're done. We're donezo. Every species of megafauna, species larger than a cat or a sheep, every single species of mammal could go extinct. We'd be fine, no problem. Few ecosystems would have to kind of reassess and reposition themselves. If we lost our pollinators, we'd be done. We would be done. And I'm not talking invasive European honeybees. I'm talking our native species of bees. And these bees are under so much pressure. Bees, wasps, species of ants, all these different insects that rely on native plant growth to survive are getting pushed out. And guess what happens? Insects are the foundation of an ecosystem. Really, any terrestrial ecosystem, you're going to be hard pressed to find some without insects or invertebrates of some kind that are this bottom tier level of life. And everything is built on top of that. So when you pull that rug out from an ecosystem by starving all of the insects, spraying pesticides all over your house so that you don't have to see a single spider or weevil or anything inside your house, and completely deforesting all land in the area, you leave these insects powerless and on a downward tick. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a rapid decline in our native insects, which is scary. Because if we lose our insects, we lose our birds, we lose our larger raptors, hawks, owls, we lose our reptiles, our amphibians. We have total ecological collapse. And we're just setting ourselves up for failure. So one huge thing that you can do, plant a pollinator garden. Look up what species of milkweed is native to your area. Look up what species of wildflowers might grow naturally. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. Plant some wildflowers in the backyard, some clover, and you'll see it. And it's rewarding. I did a lot of this stuff last year, and I'm going to do a lot more than this spring. But it was rewarding to just go and sit out in my yard and see, counted 6 species of wasps and dragonflies always flitting around. Another thing that you can do to help your ecosystems, bird feeders. Okay. Just like how I said that birds are affected by limiting the amount of food and insects that are reproducing and being populated into the environment, you can have birds struggling to survive, struggling to find food. And you can create a safe haven just in your own plot of land. A lot of times, and myself included, we get in our minds that conservation are these massive just events or projects that we could ever just hope to dream to be on, when in reality a lot of this stuff is just things we could be doing differently at home. This isn't just conserving blue whales up in the Arctic. This is just, hey, how can I increase the population of my native birds, my native insects? Other things you can get are bee houses. You can either make them or purchase them, and they're for our native bees. So people think honeybees are our native bees. They're not. Don't pull a Morgan Freeman and buy acres and acres of land to then put invasive bee houses on to save the bees. That does not help our bees. That is creating direct competition for our bees. Our bees, I'm talking about our native bees, our carpenter bees, our little iridescent green, wood boring species of hymenopterans. We're talking about our bee diversity that we've had naturally in the country, right? So we need to make sure that we're taking care of our people and not just feeding into the giant honey industry and keeping European honeybees, happy and healthy and safe, because that's not what we're trying to do. They're great, and they do a lot of ecological services, and we're thankful for them, because in a lot of places our native bees have declined, but that actually negatively impacts our native pollinators. So be mindful of that. So outside of that, really push to limit insecticide, pesticide use, rodenticide, which is rat poisons and things like that. We get so thrown out of whack, right? We say, oh my gosh, I don't want any snakes near my house. You kill the snake, well, then your rat populations boom. Well, then instead of allowing those snakes to have taken care of the rats in the first place, snakes are the most successful rat predators in the natural world. Nothing else can compete. Owls can't compete, hawks can't compete, foxes can't compete. Snakes do it way better by a long run. And you're sitting there chopping up all these rat snakes with a shovel. Horrible idea. Well, then you're infested with rats. And then when you poison those rats wander around for a few days. And then they get picked off and eaten by birds of prey. The leading cause of hospitalization of our native birds of prey is poisoning from this rodenticide, because it doesn't kill them immediately. It doesn't kill the rats immediately. They wander around, and we've even found this present in larger carnivores, like mountain lions. We've had them die from eating an animal that's poisoned by this rat poison, right? So we need to limit all poisons that we use. You think that would be common sense. Limit the amount of poison that you're using in your home and around your home, because it negatively affects the environment. Okay. And then what else we need to do is we need, oh wow, I'm getting a lot of comments. Hold on, let me see if there's anything worth talking about here. Do we have stingless bees in the USA? I'm not actually sure the answer to that question. We have many species of bees. I'm sure some are stingless. There's plenty of stingless bees in other countries, so I can't imagine that there wouldn't be any in Texas. Hey, Jack, you still live streaming Sunday, 5 to 6? Yes, I am. We will still be doing our live stream from 5 p.m. to 6 on Sunday. Great advice, Jack. I'm putting that into practice soon. Glad to hear it. Just wondering if you know, can slugs and snails bring diseases if they are in the house? Yes and no. So essentially, slugs and snails don't really bring any pathogenic issues into the home. However, you don't want to eat them. And what I mean by that is, again, if you disrupt the natural order in your area and your rat populations increase, rat parasites can also increase. There's a very deadly parasite called rat lungworm, which oftentimes can find its way in the digestive tract of snails and slugs. And in fact, killed a few people, I believe, a few years ago who ate, a slug or a snail on a dare and then became infected with that, because that is part of their life cycle. So this little parasite infects adult rodents and it kills them. But as they are infected, they will defecate, and little sporozoa of this parasite will be inside the little rat pellet, and then snails and slugs, of course, being the poop lovers that they are, will eat that. And so basically, as long as you don't eat the snails and slugs, you should be good. There's also natural remedies to snail and slug problems. The original Sluggo is a pellet style toxin that just affects slugs and snails, and it's safe to use even in close contact with my frogs and my frog tanks. I get snails and slugs in there every once in a while, and I pour a few of those pellets in there. The slugs go and eat that, and then they just die naturally. So if you're worried about that, there's plenty of natural ways to deal with snails and slugs. I work in pest control, Jack, and I completely agree about poison. Also, glue traps suck. Absolutely. Glue traps are super inhumane because animals can be stuck to them for days. If you're using a glue trap, you need to check it daily. Some species can be easily taken off of this glue trap, but they still need to be alive. It's a horrible death to be stuck to a glue trap, starving to death, becoming dehydrated over days of nobody checking it, and slowly dying. So it's much, much better if you're checking that. And then to get most animals off, a combination of soapy water and olive oil can kind of peel those suckers off, and then you can, throw them into the woods somewhere and hope they do a little bit better. A sneak peek at what is coming to your channel before 2020 is over. Oh gosh, before 2020 is over, I don't really have a lot planned. I've got a lot of stuff I'm hoping to do in January. I think I've got a Stingray episode dropping this Saturday. I have my live stream on Sunday, but I think that's already in January, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, this is the last video we're doing in 2020. Sorry. January 2nd is when that video comes out. The Stingray video. Sorry. I uploaded so much stuff in December. I think we have a total of like over 12 videos to come out in. So 12 videos of Christmas that you guys got to see in December. I'm going to try and upload stuff a lot more regularly and frequently. But you guys got to give me some grace because I can't go anywhere right now. It's getting cold. There's not as many animals out. So I'm really having to brainstorm and think of ideas of how I can create some videos for you guys to watch, even when I can't go anywhere and find a lot of stuff to film. Yes, it is quite a terrifying death to get stuck to a glue trap. I'll see you Sunday. Great. Yeah, tune in on Sunday. I do have a Patreon. I will actually, I forgot to put it in the caption of this video, but in all my other videos, you can click on the description and there is a link to my Patreon. You guys can become monthly donors, and I really would appreciate that because, like I said, it really helps me be able to find I've got a little fuzz on me, find time and equipment to produce more videos. Because if I'm not getting a lot of financial help, it does become more difficult to me because then I have to work twice as hard with what I'm doing and then find time to take off. And if I'm making more money, then I can make more videos. Let's see here. Favorite moment of 2020? Gosh. I would say probably my favorite moment when I found those Megasoma vodi, the super pretty Texas elephant beetles. I was so stoked to find those. This is my first time finding them. If you haven't watched that video, it's in my Texas playlists and interesting invertebrates. It's the I think I caught the rarest elephant beetle in Texas, I think is the name of the video. I had so much fun. I was like bouncing off the walls. I was like, whoa, this is the coolest thing. That's like my favorite native beetle. First time seeing it. And that was probably my favorite moment of 2020. That was in September. One of my favorite animals is gorillas, and they are endangered. I love gorillas. I love all great apes. I would love to get out and film with gorillas next year or the year after. It is just so ridiculously expensive to get. That's one thing that you do have to purchase into a tour, which also has permits tied to it. So it's very expensive. It's like I was looking at it, and some of those tours are like $6,000 for like a few days, and that's like multiple times more than I spent on 5 weeks in Thailand. So it's like you got to really hope that you get a lot out of that. And sadly, my mammal videos do not do very well. So I'm waiting until maybe the channel's a little bit bigger, and it wouldn't be quite as much of a financial strain for me to go and do that. But I would love to bring gorillas onto the screen for you guys. Thank you, man. I'll see you Sunday. Happy New Year to you as well. You have demonstrated a lot of knowledge. What is my background? How do I know so much about wildlife? Well, it's not as interesting as I'd like to say it would be. I've done pretty limited work at school. I'm going back to school this next semester just to pick up some more hours. Most of my knowledge is again, it's self-cultured. So I've been interested in this stuff ever since I was a kid. I watched every documentary, read every book I could find, and I just remembered all of it, which is useful and beneficial to my mission, because I can just be like, oh, hold on, let me remember what I learned about that particular animal, and then I could produce a whole video on it. So it's not quite as interesting as an answer that I would like it to be, like, oh yeah, I studied in Africa and Asia and abroad and underneath the leading experts. No, I just watched a lot of documentaries, read a lot of books, and I've just always had a love and a passion for this. So it's always come very naturally and very easy. And I just try and stay exercised with that part of my brain, and I'm constantly learning and constantly talking and teaching. So that's my background with wildlife. I love it so much that I've dedicated my life to studying it and understanding it better. Um, Gorillas are one of my favorite animals as well. Yes. A lot of times I pay attention to gorillas fighting, and sometimes it's gentle. Other times it becomes intense. It can. Gorillas are very complex social animals, so they do exhibit quite a lot of behaviors. Happy New Year to you as well. So anyway, back on track with how you can be a conservationist. Everything we do makes a difference. And it's kind of corny to say that, but everything we do makes a difference. Anything you can do to limit your ecological footprint, to limit the amount of waste you're using, and nobody's perfect, right? Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys you have to do everything I'm doing or you're not a conservationist. You can't use any plastics or you're not a conservationist. You can't buy from all these brands or you're not a conservationist, right? If that's not in your budget, if that's not in your lifestyle, if that's not if that's not a viable thing for you to do, no worries. Do what you can, right? Go help with a lake cleanup, once a month or once a year if you don't have the time, right? Go organize a food drive for people in your community who are less fortunate. Maybe go volunteer at the animal shelter. Maybe volunteer to help with some scientific surveys, right? Um, you could email a whole number of volunteer opportunities, right? If you're financially able, you can donate to a lot of these types of things. Everything we do can matter and can make a difference. So even though you're thinking, well, I'm not really doing that much, I mean, I've really limited my plastic use and I really limited the amount of, processed meats that I'm consuming, and I'm really doing pretty good here, and my diet is getting kind of on track. That's great, right? Any little thing we can do to improve is an improvement. If we all made a little improvement, we would see a lot of change, right? But we all have to work together. And I would just encourage you. I think we've got a few more questions and I'm running over time, but this is the final point that I want to instill with you all. Remember, conservation isn't out thousands and thousands of miles away. Conservation is here. Conservation is every day. And conservation is how you are interacting with the world, right? You don't need education. You don't need a PhD. You don't need 10, 20, 30 years experience to make a difference in the ecosystems that you're a part of, right? And that's what I really want to focus on is that we're all conservationists. People assume I've been to school and learned all this stuff. I'm just passionate about it and I want to protect the planet that I live on. And I am knowledgeable on it, but I can't say I am a doctor. I can't say that I have all these qualifications that I don't have, and I'm not going to tell you guys that. I've dedicated my life to study these animals, to study animals all over the world, and to study conservation. And that qualifies me just as much as you, just as much as the next person. We all have the potential to do the most we can for wildlife and for our ecosystems and for our planet. And it all starts with you. It starts with you at home and it starts in your heart, right? Make sure that you are staying mindful of what you can be doing for your environment. Pollinator gardens, excellent. Reducing the amount of poisons, glue traps, all that type of thing. Reduce that. Reduce the amount of fertilizers. Plant some native plants. They're beautiful. Every state, every country has beautiful native plants. Plant some. Volunteer. Volunteer your time. Volunteer your finances if you're available, and make some lifestyle choices that are better for the environment. And that's all you can do, and don't push yourself too much, and don't do more than what you're comfortable with, because like I said, if everybody does something, if everybody works together and everybody starts making these little changes, they add up, and they will help. So I'm going to take a few more questions. If you guys have some questions, we'll probably finish up around 45 minutes. We're at about 40 now. So let me know what you guys want to learn about. I wish humans would be kinder to all life. Where will all of the wildlife be in 100 years from now? I wonder. Hope it's still here. Yeah. A lot of it will be here, I'm sure. But a lot of it is in decline, and that's saddening, and it's disappointing, and it's depressing to hear. But we do have so much impact, negative impact, but we can have a lot of positive impact. So all we can do is our best, and if enough people are rallying together around this, then we can see viable changes and benefits and changes for the better. You saw a spider with 9 legs. Probably not. It probably was a male spider who had lost a pedipalp. So male spiders possess these little pedipalps up by their chelicerae, and they oftentimes can be pretty long and look like another set of legs, but they're used for mating. And so if it was at the front of the spider, those very well could have been the pedipalps, and if one was ripped off, that would probably give you that 9-leg look. Oh, so sweet. Love you, Jack. Love you too, man. Any other questions before we wrap up? I know I said I had my theme, but you guys are always coming right out of the gate with these questions. They're great questions, though. I love to answer them. I love to give you guys what you're asking for. Since I film late at night for videos, like your light trap videos, have you had any spooky ghost encounters or strange encounters with people? Ooh, that's a good question. Not often do we have any sort of weird encounters with the light traps, because I'm usually like with a group of my friends. I don't really do a lot of like solo light traps. I think that would be a little bit more like eerie and scary. So I haven't really had any like spooky ghost stories to tell you guys. I don't know. I've like run into like people telling me I can't be somewhere, like hiking at night. But I wouldn't say that was super, super scary. Strange encounters. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, well, one time I had my parents drop me off at this little lake area, and they were just sitting in the car, and I was trying to dip net gar, and this was a few years ago. I had this greetings from Costa Rica. Thanks for the great videos and for all the educational content you share. Thank you very much. I try to do what I can in the educational realm. But strange encounters. So they dropped me off, and the police showed up, and the lady from the house across from where I was thought that we were an estranged family member, like coming to like kill her or something. And we were like, oh, no, I'm looking for fish or something. I'm very sorry that you are in emotional distress, and that this is a worry of yours, but we're just catching fish. I'm so sorry, we didn't mean to scare you. So that was probably the strangest encounter I've had with somebody who they saw my parents drop me off and thought I was a bounty hunter or something. Have I heard about the bird that went extinct twice? Not sure. There's plenty of species that like go extinct, and then like a subspecies will like kind of file back into that region, and then like over time adapt and change back into that species that had gone extinct and then die again. But I haven't heard of, if you're talking about a specific species, I'm not sure what you are referring to. Wish more people were like you, man. Oh, I get pretty bored talking to them if they were. But in terms of passion and drive for the environment, I'd have to agree with you. My hands are farting now. Yes, that'll do it for strange encounters. Yeah, so I'm not a bounty hunter. I'm just a kid trying to catch some fish. I was maybe like 16 at the time, and I was just dip netting for my aquarium at home, and they were like, yeah, somebody called. I think they, you guys were trying to kill this other person, and I'm like, no, actually, no. Wow, okay, but no. All right. Um, Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up. We are right at 45 minutes. Um, we will be doing a live stream on Sunday, and make sure that you catch the next episode on Saturday of our it's an aquatic episode, so I've got a few more aquatic episodes coming. I still have all my manatee footage to turn into a video and all of my shark dive footage to turn into a video. So very excited for you guys to see some of the close encounters we had. We had one big, maybe 10-foot lemon shark that got really close to us, and we were diving. We were free diving, so no cage, no nothing, just out in the middle of the ocean, and trying to film with some sharks. So it would really, really help me if you guys could like this video and run down into the comments and just comment something, anything, and also like and share and comment on all the other videos. For some reason, we're still kind of in the trenches of the algorithms here. And even with uploading, I've been uploading minimum 2 episodes a week, plus all these live streams and stuff, and we're still kind of trudging along. So it really helps me for you guys to support those videos in that way. And hopefully we can get back to the point where we're back on track. I can start getting back out and traveling and getting some more content for you guys. I've got maybe 10 episodes that I'm working on right now for the beginning of next year, some collab opportunities that we're going to start having trickling in January, February. So keep an eye out. It should get really exciting. I'm hoping that 2021 will be a little bit of a better year than 2020. But I appreciate your support, and just keep on keeping on and doing what you guys are doing. So I'm glad that you guys had fun with this kind of midweek live stream. We might do more of these. I don't know if I'm going to for sure set this Wednesday time block in stone. But I didn't have a little mini episode to release for you guys this week, so I figured I would release this short live stream. Short, now we're running up on 48 minutes. So I'm going to sign off. I appreciate all your support. For those of you who have donated in the live chat, I really appreciate you as well. It always incentivizes me to come up with new live stream ideas, because I get to see people who are really having fun and really engaging and getting their answers from their questions. So thank you very much. I hope you all have a happy new year. I hope 2021 is more productive and safer for all of us. And I'm really excited to see what all is going to come into the picture for this next year. So thank you once again for your support. Remember, I mean, you could flood me with comments. You can ask your questions anytime during the week on any of my videos. I get back to you pretty quickly. I get notifications on my phone still for YouTube comments. So whenever you comment something, I see it and I usually respond to it pretty quickly, because I'm pretty much always looking at my stuff on my channel, because I am excited to see stuff happen and people interact with the content. But thank you very much for tuning in. Remember to tune in Sunday, and remember to catch our Stingray video on Saturday. And then we'll have Frog Room Tour, sharks, manatees, all this stuff is coming up next year. So make sure you turn on your notifications, your post notifications on my channel, so that you don't miss anything. Because if you miss it, it'll kind of be stinky for you. But once again, thank you for all your support, and I will see you guys next time.